After a great first half, we managed to throw away a 3-goal lead, but held on to take all 3 points against West Brom. Glenn, I think we should start with the positives. We'll get on to the fact that we don't seem to perform in the second half or keep a clean sheet. We'll get on to that in good time, but let's start with the positives. And once again, we were out of the blocks and we were flying.
Yeah. I mean, the opening sort of 5 minutes was pretty, nothing much happened there. But as soon as we started picking out the passes to break the lines, it was the same as we've seen in other recent games where we just looked so... we were willing to take risks. Most of them came off. All the players seemed to be in sync, and the chances flowed. And West Brom were. They were very open, weren't they, in midfield? So that's that thing that you just don't do against us in the way we're playing at the moment. And they seem to set up that way. But you've got to be good enough to take advantage of other teams, shortcomings and. Obviously the first goal, we all knew Tom Fellows was going to do something against West Brom.
You called it, didn't you?
Yeah, and that was a great ball forward again by Harwood-Bellis, who's making a habit of that, to pick out Fellows sort of in field further up, and he turns and goes through the middle, and there's I think 3 West Brom players chasing him. But it's what you often find with wingers is that when it comes, or people who are essentially wingers and people who are quick, is that when it comes to play the ball, it's not, that's not the strong part of the game quite often. And but he weighted that superbly to Scienza, and I think and that was the right option as well, because he could have gone left to Armstrong, but it was the right option to go to Scienza. And I think everyone knew he was going to score before the ball hit the net. So Adam Armstrong again, just this is like AI version of Adam Armstrong, isn't it? It's just ridiculous how well he's playing.
We're running out of things to say about him. He's played so well.
Yeah, and then he would have closed down Nat Phillips with no real. He's on his own, so he'd have had no real expectation of winning the ball. But that's what you do it for that 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 times that the defender treads on the ball or does something dumb. And again, once he got the ball and to the edge of the box, got past the defender, you knew that was going in as well. West Brom sort of, they didn't look too bad when they got the ball in our half, but every time we got the ball, they just looked, they just looked dreadful. And the third goal sort of came along just before half time. Again, it was Finazaz, another very well weighted pass. Another thing that Adam Armstrong is doing better at the moment is staying onside. At first viewing, because I'm looking from the side up that end. So at first viewing, I thought that looks a bit close to offside. Not that you care, because it's the Championship, it's getting given anyway. But when you look back, he is offside. Then he dodges back onside as Azaz releases the ball, scores again. So yeah, brilliant half time, and all was rosy in the garden. And I thought Ryan Mason was getting sacked at half time. But second half was a little bit different.
Yeah, we'll get on to the second half in a moment. Alfie, that was almost another perfect first 45 minutes, to be honest. And Adam Armstrong now top scorer in the league, I think, with 11 goals.
Yeah, top scorer in the league with 11 goals. The next on 10, so he did need both of them to reach that target. I mean, we're saying we run out of things to say about Adam Armstrong. What we can say about him is he's now, I think, 12th in the list of all-time top goal scorers in the Championship. And if he gets 9 more this season, he'll reach 100 in the league, which will put him into well into the top 10. Billy Sharp, obviously, the Championship's top goal scorer of all time on 130. And I think there's a genuine chance that, unfortunately, we might get promoted this season and not play in the league next season. But I think he could well be the Championship's top goal scorer of all time by the time his career is finished. And I think that would sort of sum him up really well, because myself, plenty of others would have doubted him going into the season a little bit, maybe. I think we know how good he is at this level, but just that sort of consistency time and time and again after what we've seen in the Premier League is the motivation there. But we're all totally wrong. I was totally wrong. He's one of the most important players in the team again. He's scoring goals for fun again. He's setting up a fair share as well. And he's obviously linking up really well with Finazaz. And you mentioned Harwood-Bellis, Glenn. Obviously, I think he gets the pre-assist for 2 of the goals. Obviously, the one that Fellows plays to Leo Scienza, but then another one where he plays it into Finazaz. for the third goal, I think. And
Sure.
Finn Azaz's touch there is unbelievable. He's got his back to goal, a defender on him. He takes one touch, sort of spins a defender right through, and then he's almost falling over, and he just sort of lifts the ball, disguise pass through the two centre halves for Armstrong to run onto and score the third one. Those two are linking up unbelievably well. And I just had Saints' tweet up a minute ago because they've got the goal numbers for in the last 7 games. It's 7 goals for Adam Armstrong, 3 assists, 6 goals for Finn Azaz with 3 assists. So it was all about the AA last time with Adams and Armstrong, and it's all about the AA again with Azaz and Armstrong. So yeah, fair play to them.
Oh, it's a dream to watch as well, Rob. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on tonight. What did you make of that first 45 minutes yesterday?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was potentially expecting a little bit more from West Brom after the first 10 minutes. I was getting quite worried, to be honest with you. We weren't kind of moving the ball forward. I thought once that first one went in and Tom Fellows spun his man, I thought, you kind of knew what was going to happen from there. I thought, honestly, we set up fantastically. Tonda Eckert, the amount of preparation he does for each game, he knows what West Brom are going to do. He knows what Charlton were going to do, kind of inside out. And I think the level of preparation, which obviously he's putting into the players, is really like anything we didn't see under Will Still and even previous managers. He really must love the game to kind of get that in depth and in detail, and it shows on the pitch. I mean, I thought the players were fantastic. I maybe a little bit shaky at times. We were passing it, around the back. I think Nathan Wood had a couple of crossfield balls to Manning, which looked a bit suspicious. But I mean, that's really if I'm being pernickety. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought we were willing. When we kind of broke through the initial West Brom line, I thought we were willing to go forward. We were willing to take shots on at goal. I thought Scienza was fantastic. It's absolutely unbelievable how we have a player of his quality in the Championship. And as Alfie just said, the numbers which Armstrong and Azaz are putting up are freakish, to be honest. I mean, it's like there's just 2 completely different players to the ones we started the season with, especially Finn Azaz. I mean, confidence is, it's a very interesting substance, I think, what it can do to a player. But over the moon, really, 3-0 at half time. And as Glenn said, I thought Russell Martin was going to be in the West Brom seat next week. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And it's exactly what we needed. We needed to go out there and kind of keep going and keep pushing. And that's exactly what they did.
And what have you put it down to, Rob? Because we've been trying to get to the bottom of this for the last few weeks. It's essentially the same squad of players, isn't it? Is it literally like the preparation that's the difference? Is it the devil in the detail? What do you reckon's changed? I'm
not sure. I mean, Alfie would have spent way more time than any of us with Will Still, obviously going to press conferences, things like that. Will Still, I did like him because he seemed very mundane. He spoke quite simply about football, quite, people might call it direct or straightforward. Maybe that didn't really translate to the players. I mean, someone like Russell Martin, for example, is heralded for being a really good man manager and getting the best out of his players, especially when they're in the Championship and we needed to win games. Tonda Eckert might appease that a little bit more. He might be giving them, he looks like he's definitely giving them more confidence. And I'm sure the level of detail which he's going into, which we're all hearing about, in his pre-match interviews or even post-match interviews with players and meetings, it must give the players a sense of assurance that he's done his research. He can show them exactly what they need to do. If you do this, we'll break the lines. Here's the evidence because they didn't do it previously. So I'm sure it is mainly a confidence thing. We always knew, especially at the end of the window, I was feeling very confident about the end of the window, kind of when it shut back in, was it August, September time now? And, we always knew that these players had it in them to play like this at this level. Adam Armstrong's done it before in the Championship. A lot of the players which we currently have obviously got us promoted in 23-24. So I think it was mainly about bringing them out. And I think he's just given them confidence to do that. The proof is in the pudding.
I should say, David says in the comments, there's a bit of negativity around the performance, especially the second half. But he says a month ago, we'd have killed for a scrappy 3-2 home win. And he's absolutely right. And of course, you've got to be careful about overreacting to some of these things, Glenn. But it just seems that we can't keep up that intensity in the second half. I don't think we had a shot on target in the second half.
No, we didn't do anything in the second half at all. I mean, first thing to say is as the comments said there, we won the game. If we won, do you remember the game against Watford in the chat? Was it Watford when Flynn Downs scored in the last minute and we won 3-2? Yeah. That game, same result, 3 points, 3 goals. It's exactly the same. At the end of the game, when the whistle goes, it's exactly the same. But the feeling is very different, obviously, because yesterday, the second half was awful. I mean, it was bad. when you're 3-0 up, your mind is going to say this game is done. And no matter how much someone tells you it isn't, as a professional footballer, you're going to have one eye on the game against Norwich at the weekend and conserving a bit of energy and trying not to get booked and all this sort of stuff. And I think it's inevitable that creeps in. That's one of the things that, Thando Eka has to stress is not acceptable, and we must try not to do that if we find ourselves in the situation. But I mean, Christ, we're moaning about how we manage games when we're 3-0 up. I mean, it's a bit freakish what's going on at the moment, that we're blowing teams away in the first half. It's not going to keep happening like that. So I don't think it's just something to get massively worked up about. But there is an issue, I think, at the start of the season. I remember saying on here that when Will Still was in charge, that it didn't really matter which 11 out of our squad we picked, because they were all performing at much the same level, and you could pick almost any 11 and it wouldn't much difference. The thing is now, the first 11, the first team, have gone to such a high level that when we bring on substitutes, the arse drops out of it. It really does. So if you just look at the replacements that you usually made, Scienza goes off, Robinson comes on. Now, no fault of Robinson, he's a young player making his way, and Scienza's exceptional. We go from a Zaz to a Rebo. That's a massive drop off in all sorts of ways. We go from Armstrong to Archer. That's a canyon-sized drop off. And then you go from Fellows to Fraser, and I don't even want to tell you how big that one is. Fraser hasn't beaten a man for 2 years. He just doesn't run forward with the ball, and he can't tackle either. And it's just, it's massive. And in addition, we have one in the starting lineup where Kwasi come in for Stevens. And to be honest, at 6'5", I've never seen him win a header against another player. And we've got him and Nathan Wood in the back line, both 6 foot plus, or 6 foot massive, 3 up to 6'3", 6'5". We've got Harwood-Bellis, who's a big lad as well. And those corners they're just horrific. The way we defend them. Again, I'm looking along that 6-yard line, and I'm looking at it, and all the corners are landing in the same place. But I think half the problem is the goalkeeper. They don't know. The goalkeeper should be coming for those. If you look at where the goal comes from, the second goal, it's 4 yards out. I mean, if the goalkeeper's not going to get to that, what's he doing? And I think the defenders are kind of stuck between the goalkeeper should be coming to get that, but they've probably got no confidence that he's going to come and get it. And it just causes a problem. So yeah, there is so much to work on, and I do think we have to address the goalkeeper situation. We're going to get to January, and if we're just going to sign one player for one position, I think that's what it's got to be. Because I just think, though he made some good saves from those corners, I kind of felt like he was just kind of flapping around, and the ball either hit him or it didn't. There's no calmness. There's no control there. There's no coming out and taking the pressure off everybody by catching it or punching it a long way or anything like that. It's just corners along the 6-yard line and absolute carnage. So, but yeah, we do have to manage the games better. But I'm not going to get too hung up on what we do when we're 3-0 up, to be honest.
I'm going to ask you about the goalkeeping situation in just a minute, Rob. But Alfie, I just wanted to mention, Glenn said about Stevens and Kwasi there. They just seem, I think you said today, interchangeable depending on, is it the opposition, or because it's the midweek games that Jack has come out, isn't it? So that's not about managing minutes. That's more about the opposition.
Yeah, well, like you said, it could be about managing minutes. The fact that it's both midweek games, it seems like that is what it is. He's obviously 31 years old, whatever he is, Jack. But Thando has said that it's not about that. And it's a tactical thing. Obviously, we knew what it was against Leicester. It was about, obviously, Abdel Fattah and things like that. But I don't really know who the sort of pacey danger man that they thought West Brom had to make that change. I mean, Isaac Price is quite tall, and he's obviously quite a dangerous player at the start of the season. And Hegebo's got a load of goals, but I wouldn't say that Jack Stevens would have been unable to handle any of those. So I thought that was a little bit of a weird change. And maybe we talk about the sort of second halves. when they came out from the Birmingham second half, they shat the bed as well for the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes. But as soon as the goal went in, they very quickly went, okay, right, we need to get back onto the gear we were on a minute ago. And they put Birmingham away literally 4 minutes later, and the game was done again. Obviously, this time that didn't happen. The momentum kept building. You had this crazy sort of scene where there was 4 corners in a row before they finally scored. And, it was off the line, Bazunu save, and then, they finally score the goal. And maybe if you've got Jack Stevens, who's got that cool head, a bit of experience, maybe that that momentum gets arrested a little bit earlier. Maybe it doesn't, but I thought that was weird. But what is obvious is with the starting 11 now is that it's pretty much all set in stone. I mean, for me, that is the only position which seems fairly interchangeable. The only other one will be a problem is when Shea Charles is back. Obviously, he's back in training now. Which one of Flynn Downs and Caspiander do you drop? Well, obviously, you don't drop Caspiander. So and then do you even drop Flynn Downs, or does Shea Charles have to? Oh, exactly. So winning games, right? So, but that'll be a problem because Shea Charles was the top dog 6 weeks ago. He was the player we were hanging our hat on, saying this is the guy who, is our best player.
Get him the contract, wasn't it? All the
exactly, yeah.
Contract.
Exactly. So I think they're the only sort of 2 positions, but everything else is absolutely nailed on, and I think it makes it probably quite easy for Tonda.
So, what are we going to do about the goalkeeper? Rob, we've spoken about this quite a bit on the podcast. He's getting a bit of stick online. Other people standing up for him. As Alfie said, he made some good saves yesterday, and one of the goals I think comes from him, playing out from the back. But there is still this massive question mark, and just be interested to see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin Bazunu's been a topic of conversation, not just Gavin, but McCarthy as well, but specifically Gavin at the moment. It's been a topic of conversation probably since he joined, really. I think it's really tough because I can see it from both sides. But I think the bottom line for me is my goalkeeper needs to make saves. We need a goalkeeper. If we're going to get promoted, we need a goalkeeper who's at least top 10 in the division in terms of keeping us in games, save percentages, that type of thing. I mean, if you look at Gavin Bazunu last time we were in the Championship, 23-24, he was second bottom in terms of save percentage, 62.5% save percentage, which is very poor. This year, he's bottom at 60%. Conceded 18 goals in the games he's played. So I think, he does make good saves at times. Absolutely. No doubt about that. But I think it's mainly the routine saves, which you would expect someone like a Vitek at Bristol City to save, that he doesn't really get to, which is very frustrating. And obviously, the other side of that, you have Alex McCarthy, who I know we've spoken about a lot. For me, the main differences between them is Alex McCarthy can command an area. I mean, last night we saw West Brom put 9 balls into our box from corners, and Bazunu didn't look like he was going to come and claim any of them. That doesn't just make us, liable to concede. It also makes the defenders quite shaky. I don't think if I was a defender and I had, statistically one of the worst goalkeepers in the league behind me, I wouldn't feel assured. That I'm going to have someone there to protect us, basically as a last resort. Now, I do agree.
Yeah, so what you do as a defender when you've got a goalkeeper like that is that you automatically go further back towards your own goal.
Yeah, completely, and that's exactly what we saw, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we saw ourselves dropping back. We're allowing West Brom to put crosses in. I know you guys have spoken a lot recently about Ryan Manning, letting crosses come in. I completely agree. We need to stop dropping back. We need to stop kind of making Bazunu. We're not playing to his strengths at all. His strengths are as a goalkeeper with his feet, in terms of playing out from the back. He can't really command an area, and we shouldn't be dropping back as much. But I do agree that the back five, the back three, whatever in front of him, need to stop putting him in those positions. But I do think the goalkeeping situation has to be addressed. I mean, we're not going to get Ramsdale back from Newcastle. Definitely, if I was him, wouldn't want to come back to the Championship, and can't really blame him. But it needs to be addressed. We desperately need someone. I had a look at the free agent list; is looking pretty sparse, so we'll probably have to buy someone or get someone on loan. But I mean, prime example, Alfie's team, Bristol City, they brought in Vitek from Man United on loan. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship. We never heard of him before, so there's definitely going to be names out there. But yeah, it was frustrating watching it all happen, and you knew exactly that we were going to concede from one of these corners. As Mikey Johnson's just swinging them in constantly. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
So would you stick with Bazunu for the moment then? You wouldn't put like McCarthy in?
I would. You'd
switch it up?
No, I would stick with Gavin. I think McCarthy's tough because part of what we've been so good at recently is kind of building out from the back. Bazunu is quite good with his feet, better than McCarthy is. And I feel like with McCarthy, we were so limited. When McCarthy was in goal, we had Ross Stewart up top, so we could get away with playing McCarthy because he would lump it forward. and then Ross, we'd have a big man up there to kind of get the ball down. When we're trying to build from the back, and you have Alex McCarthy, we know how that's going to end up. It's not going to end up well. I'm not saying Gavin's perfect. As I said earlier, number one thing for me is kind of saving shots. But at present, we've only got 3 weeks till January. I would want us to get a goalkeeper in. But I think primarily we need to stop dropping back and putting Gavin in those positions where he has to kind of make those saves and command his area. But I feel like as a defence, you have to work as a unit. But I do think the goalkeeper situation drastically needs to be addressed because we will not go up, I don't think, with a goalkeeper who's the worst in the division statistically at the moment.
The Ramsdale thing does complicate things a touch, though, doesn't it, Glenn? Because technically you could be in a situation where he comes back. I mean, he started to play a few games now, isn't he? I think I haven't been watching it too closely, but he seems to be happy.
Well, I mean, it might look complicated from where we are because it's a first choice goalkeeper out on loan. But he's on a lot of money and he's going to be in the Premier League one way or another next year. I can't see him wearing a Saints shirt again, to be honest. And those within the club, you would hope, would know exactly how that's going to play out because he's got Newcastle got a buy clause, which is not ridiculous. It's not like one of those ones that they're never going to activate. I think it's about, is it 25 million?
Yeah, but what I would say is the local newscast press, seem to keep saying that they're not going to activate it. That seems to be the general consensus. But obviously that can change because now Pope's injured. He is playing again, so that can definitely change.
Well, he was in the team because Pope was crap for a few games and got dropped. And
I think he only came into the team when Pope got injured.
Oh, was it really?
I think did the two things not coincide? He had a shocker, but also he had an injury, and so I think everyone kind of assumed he was dropped, but actually I think it was an injury. But
that's the other thing. Things. I mean, Pope's 30. He's 30 plus, isn't he? He's not young. So,
but presumably they'll buy James Trafford in the summer. Finally,
you think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's not going to stay in Man City, is he? So, I mean,
no.
But with regards to us and the rest of this season, I don't think Ramsdale is an issue. And if there's the money there to bring someone in, then
there is one very simple solution, and you get Anthony Patterson in on loan from Sunderland. That's the solution, surely. Playoff winner last season.
A name that's been suggested as well in the comments. A few people thinking the same. Is that a deal that could be done? Do you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's not playing. They've got Roofs in goal, who they've plucked from. I mean, their recruitment team was plucked from somewhere, Eredivisie probably, and he's unbelievable, just like the rest of the players they bought, and showing how bad of a job we did last summer. So Patterson's not getting a game ever again. Why would he not want to come and play for Southampton? No one in the Premier League is going to take him, and I think that this club is probably the best opportunity for a goalkeeper in the league because we've got the one of the better teams around it. It's just that's the one position we need. So I think that I'll be amazed if that doesn't sort of get looked at.
Going back to yesterday and the first goal we conceded, I mean that to me it looked like again Gavin was too close to the near post with that one, and he seemed frustrated when that one made its way into the corner, like he felt he could have done better at it. Now I don't, when you've made your mind up as a fan that your goalkeeper's a bit susceptible to shots at him, I'm kind of inclined to blame him for every goal. And I just want to know if I was being harsh, kind of. To me, it doesn't look like an absolute howler, but it's one of those ones where I'm looking at him again thinking, really?
No, I think Rob summed it up Rob summed up when he spoke about it. I think it's sort of like if a proper goalkeeper was in goal, that would potentially look like a routine save. And maybe it is because of the positioning, like you said, where Gavin's maybe actually in the wrong position, so it looks like a tough one to save. But it's quite a central shot. I know that they're hit hard, and so was the Damari Gray one. It was hit hard at him, but they are quite central in the goal. And you just think maybe if he had a step left, it'd be easier. But
he looked quite flat-footed, I thought, for that goal.
The second one is worse. I think the fact that he's not coming for that corner is worse because it's right into the 6-yard box. That's the one that frustrated me.
Yeah. I mean, there is a player in front of him who is kind of not backing into him, but he's just standing there. He doesn't have to move. He can just stand there and Bazunu doesn't get round him or over him. He just kind of collapses on the floor.
But we had two defenders there, and Ryan Fraser obviously didn't jump, and it just kind of like passed him by. And they've got to do better as well from that. Surely it was.
Well, the biggest nightmare was the last minute, wasn't it? I know this is nothing to do with Bazunu. When that cross came in, and Wood tried to flick it away, that was garbage, and Kwasi went through his legs, and the Illing Junior. I mean, everyone thought that was a goal, didn't they?
I don't know how it didn't go in.
Can't believe he put that wide. I mean, it was just so fortunate that we didn't chuck 2 points in the bin. with that. And it just would have been so preventable had that happened. And it's just we just got to stop hitting the panic button. But we brought all that on ourselves yesterday with our sort of like poor defending at set pieces.
But we've seen it all before as well, haven't we? So we get a bit nervy. Then you start to think to yourself, "I know how this ends."
Well, yeah, I mean that's what Steve always says, isn't it? About it. We've seen this lot. We've seen this film before. over the last 18 months, we've seen every possible way to throw points in the bin. And even by the standards of the last 2 years, that would have been quite spectacular if we'd managed to toss it away yesterday. But,
I completely get. Sorry, Glenn. I completely get saving players for like 3 match weeks and whatnot and all that. But I've never seen Saints, and I know we got away with it yesterday just by like 5 centimeters from Milling Junior's miss. But I've never actually seen Saints drop back like we did, because we do it quite a lot. We've done it previously as well, where we drop back basically into our own 18-yard box, kind of set up the trenches and try and defend. I've never really seen it go well. I mean, everyone in the stadium, especially at, the Northern End, when we've got literally no idea what's going on the other side of the pitch when those corners are going in, everyone kind of knew that we were going to concede at some point, and we were incredibly fortunate. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when the second one went in, I was pretty nailed on that it was probably going to go to 3-3.
Well, I think one of the big factors is obviously the fact that if you look at the front three they finished the game with, Jay Robinson, who obviously is a little bit of a headless chicken right now because he's 18 years old, he's an attacking player, a flair player, and he hasn't had the experience in the league, and that's fair enough. You've got Joe Aribo, who is, for whatever reason, at the moment, just not particularly useful. And then you've got Cameron Archer, who, to be fair, again, has tried to get on the ball, has tried to carry the ball and take players on and stuff like that, but ultimately he's just not good enough. So I think that that level of pressure is inevitable. If you've got that front three, the ball's going to keep coming back to you because no one there's holding it up. No one's doing anything with it. So I think then it's only natural you sit back. And I think that Tonda's probably made those changes a little bit too early. I get the whole, you said, Rob, saving legs for Saturday, but maybe it was a touch too early on a couple of those ones yesterday, and maybe he's realised that.
I think focus on the game.
It's also a bit of a change in the mindset, though, wasn't there? Because in the first half, we were taking risks around the halfway line, and some were working and some weren't. And we were losing the ball on the halfway line, and that's fine. And then we all drop back, which is the way that we're sort of playing at the moment. And then we wait for West Brom to make another mistake, and then we try and spring again. There was a lack of, in the second half, even from the first 15 minutes before we started making changes, there just wasn't the snap about the passing. There just wasn't the risk taking. There just, there wasn't the movement. It just all went a little bit flat. And but that is certainly something that can be addressed. And the substitutions. I mean, the first 2 subs happened when they were going to be made. They were going to be made just before the first goal went in for West Brom, and he ended up making it just after. I would have thought he would have changed his mind at that point and given it another 10 minutes with the. With Scienza and Armstrong, who come off. Scienza.
Is that where
Fellows had to come off? Fellows had to come off, but Scienza,
Is that where they're in his ear saying to him that player needs to come off, and they're looking at the data? Is that what? Do you think a lot of it is down to that? And someone's saying you need to.
Well, no, Fellows was limping around. You don't need data.
That was an obvious one, right? But Scienza seems to be coming off quite frequently, doesn't he? He's not. Surely some of these players should be able to finish at least 80, 85 minutes. And as we've all said, the subs are making us worse when they come on. So why so early?
I think Joe Aribo was the wrong player to bring on when we went 1-0 down. I said you could see him stripping off and getting ready. I turned to the guy next to me. I was like, "That's completely the wrong player to bring on in the situation now." Because I mean, we saw it in Millwall. I mean, I will never forgive him for not taking that hit and turning his body when you run out to a man, and you're not going to get that commitment from him at the moment. It was completely the wrong sub at the time, which is a really big shame compared to the player he was a couple of years ago. He was so important in us getting promoted, but yeah, I agree. Subs were a little bit early, definitely.
What's happened to Matsky? Is he wasn't on the bench, was he? Oh, he's injured. Oh,
yeah, but I'll check that. Don't say that's gospel. He might not be.
Yeah, might be. Let's finish on a positive, Rob. I mean, we're up to 8th and talk of promotion and playoffs, and suddenly things are looking rosy and it's all back on.
It's all getting exciting, isn't it? I said to the guy next to me, I was like, if we're in the playoffs for Christmas, you think about where we were. I mean, 9-10 games ago, it'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it, to think that? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we were 3 points above the drop zone when Tonda took over.
Fourth bottom, weren't we?
Fourth. I mean, that's just with the players we've got at the moment. It is complete, as you said, Martin. It's night and day. it's absolutely incredible. I mean, if we can keep going and push on and keep at the rate we are, I mean, there's no reason why we can't be looking, hopefully, talking about automatics, maybe in February, March time. But I think we need to get through this busy period. Coventry on the 20th is going to be such a big game for us. That's going to be the litmus test, I think. Millwall, we saw that, when we went away to Millwall, very, very tough match. And that was probably the best team which we've played so far, clearly. But I'm really excited for that Coventry match. Obviously, Norwich this weekend, I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. But it's getting a bit exciting. And if you'd have told me, when Tonda took over, having never heard of the bloke before, that we'd be, 1 point off the playoffs as it stands, I'd have asked if I'm dreaming. It's absolutely ridiculous.
We're all feeling slightly different.
I know,
game.
I know it's December, but I was table watching yesterday. I was literally watching the table, and for about 10 minutes we were in the top six. We were. And I was thinking, this is brilliant. But also on that Coventry game, I can't wait, obviously for obvious reasons, but just a PA to anybody who's out there. I'm going on a pub crawl through Southampton immediately after the game because it's my friend's sort of Christmas festive pub crawl.
Is this an invite?
No, it's not. It's not an invite, but it's. I'll be wearing a Father Christmas costume. If anybody sees me in town on a pub crawl, please do come and say hello.
Buy him a pint.
Please tell me you'll be wearing that in the press box.
No, I won't be wearing it in the press box, but full time I'm heading straight out and going. So I'll be about.
Anything else on the West Brom game before we move on?
Only that Ryan Mason, I mean, he got that so wrong, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got that so wrong, but both in terms of the way, they set up, in terms of the players that he picked. I was really pleased Mikey Johnson wasn't on the pitch the whole game. Jesus, he was terrifying when he came on. So, and the much maligned by me, Jason Malumbi made quite a big difference when he came on in the centre of midfield, I thought. So fair play to him. He might not be the worst player I've ever seen after all. So, fair enough. Maybe I should keep those judgments to myself in future.
Also, I wanted to mention the atmosphere of St Mary's. Although it wasn't full, it was unbelievable. And I think Tonda said after the game that, obviously he's saying all the right things, of course he is, but he said that it made a hell of a difference, the atmosphere, and the fans were the ones who brought the game over the line for us. As I say, he's obviously ticking all the right boxes, but I think he actually is right. The atmosphere in those last sort of 10 minutes, even as I got a little bit nervous, was brilliant. So fair play.
Yeah. Just one more thing, Nine. The away followings. So West Brom, I remember playing them when they brought down and they filled the whole of the northern end before the ground was round. Leicester have done the same. The last two times we've played them, last two midweek games, and the followings have been pathetic. Is this just something that's happening now? Midweek games. I know.
They're
both terrible.
They're both terrible. They're both in terrible away form, and people don't have much money because it's hard. The bills are going upwards. So I think it genuinely is a sign of the times. I don't think people can afford to spend 200 quid on an away day.
It just seems to be a huge drop off very, very quickly from what it was even a couple of years ago. In terms of, you expect some of the clubs, the ones that don't bring many away from home, like Preston, teams like that. But I expected Leicester and West Brom to have a bit more, a few more than that, even for a midweek game.
It's a testament to our away following as well, though. Considering it is. Bringing. It'll be interesting to see how many. Obviously, we have at Norwich. I'm not sure if we've sold out or what, but it is. I was very surprised at Leicester. I have to admit, because they have great fun when they come down here normally. So.
Should we dissect the autumn budget and all this sort of stuff? Get really political.
No.
Total Politics podcast. The spin-off that we don't need. We'll get on to the Pompey allocation and the prices of that a bit later on.
Actually, one more thing on West Brom, Martin, before we move on. An incident on the Avenue in Southampton last night.
What was that about?
An official West Brom supporter coach had a brick thrown through the window while it was driving through the Avenue in Southampton, as far as we're aware. So police have confirmed that to me, that they were called out at about 10:30 last night. Which is bang out of order, isn't it? And there's no saying that is a Saints fan. They might not be a Saints fan. It might just be some yobs. But whoever it is, it's absolutely bang out of order.
You won the game. Just get home. It's nuts. But it's really sad to read that.